very basic, simple application, but it talks about how much we had to structure ourselves as a technology company in a way that we would not have been able to do 5 years ago, and to be able to bring products that are designed to work together and decision cycles for our customers much faster. I'll give you an example of how I now get involved in my regular routine and talk about how much it's changed versus just a couple years ago. If we did a major acquisition, 50% of my time would go to that major acquisition during the month and a half we were working on it. Yet during the end of the year, in a 45-day period, we did 5 acquisitions, 4 outside the U.S. We did our most important strategic technology alignment with EMC and VMware and Intel and BMC and CA toward a common view of where the data center was going to go. We did our regular CIO conference, we did our shareholder meetings, our calls, and yet I didn't break a stride in terms of what I've traditionally done as my job, which is 100 individual customer meetings in the same time period. But what allowed this is each time I moved to a different community of interest, or using my terminology, a dynamic matrix organization position, I could move from one to the next, and we made decisions so much faster as a company. And you can say, well, John, that was just a busy time of the year. With the network as a platform, we did the exact same thing at the World Economic Forum, where half of our focus is around our corporate social responsibility implications there across government leaders and business leaders. We then went to the Consumer Electronics Show and launched a real commitment in terms of where we were going directionally in the consumer electronics area. We then went to the Mobile World Congress, talked about the Starent acquisition, and out of the 12 customers we talked there to, again with a group that was a council around service providers, but our mobility board within that, and our new acquisition, and all 12 of them were making commitments to get closer to Cisco, both in terms of the technology and the business partnership. We went on and we went through about 7 different countries and emerging markets. We made multiple trips with our government affairs group in terms of key regulation around the world, including in the U.S. We did our standard leadership quarterly meetings, etc. And then another 100 customers. Now, it isn't so important the productivity. This is what each person at Cisco can do in terms of their jobs. They can be working in one organization, not static, but dynamic in the morning. An hour later, they could move to the next one, data centers. An hour later, they could use to how the data center applies to cloud for a service provider customer thinking about where they're going to go. And the next one, they can put time into giving back on their corporate social responsibility, responding to what was going on in Haiti and how we're using the satellite connectivity there to really change it. Productivity increases that are dramatic. But it really talks about moving not just from command and control to collaboration teamwork, not a static matrix mentality, but literally a dynamic organization that is entirely enabled by video collaboration. This is what these models are about. The ability to bring this to life and partner very tightly. You can say, well, John, only Cisco is really out there by themselves in this. Best run organizations in the world are right behind us and at times leading us. You talk to the leadership at Procter & Gamble. You talk about how they're coming up on 100 telepresence units, how they use Flip in their everyday activity to capture key messages, how they use collaboration together to change business models, how the CEO of the company, but also the CIO is aligned both business and technology-wise with Cisco in terms of the direction. You could have the same discussion at GE with Jeff Immelt and their CIO leadership about how they use this type of collaboration to bring their employees anywhere in the world. You could have the same discussion at Home Depot. You could be at Walgreens. You could be at AT&T. You could be at BT with Ian Livingston talking about how he's transforming his company. Where is he going? Deutsche Telekom rethinking about how they really bring the services, both entertainment, consumer, and small business to their customer environment. These are the relationships that we're now doing with our first couple dozen really tight customer partnerships. The key is over the next 2 years, when we make that couple dozen, several thousand. But without alignment in terms of these business models, we wouldn't be able to deliver on it. And when you ask the leaders today, it's very indicative of what I talked about briefly before. At the CEO level, you would often talk, especially those CEOs I just put up there, about our ability to align with them business-wise. It's almost a given in terms of the innovation we and our partners can bring together. But when you get to the technical decision makers and you ask them about our top 30 accounts that we have together, 85% of them will say we've moved dramatically this last year in terms of our partnership with them on a technology architecture. And the shocker was These are the technical decision makers repeating the same concept from earlier. 80% of them said we moved dramatically in terms of our business relationships together and how we go to market. The numbers in terms of using video are going to occur just like they did in the first phase of the internet in terms of entering orders online and doing customer support online. The ability to see these ramp-ups, which are today not growing 100% year over year or 200%, like the green charts that we looked at on the far right did that fed a decade of productivity. But in 2 years, the number of users at Cisco are up 4,600%, and the number of videos being used are up 9,100%. This will be typical. This is why you're talking about capabilities of billions of videos being used by a single router. Concept here is simple. As you begin to think about market transformations, they wait for no one, regardless of how successful you've been or size. But the ability to navigate through this versus traditional competitors and next generation of competitors is very simple in the market cap. The ability in 1995 to be one of a very good group of players, one of 12, and have about a seventh of the industry's market cap. But the ability at that time to save all-in-one data voice video networks and move to 2005 out of that segment group to 66% of it. Then by June of this last year,